All right, how's it going, everybody? I am excited to get this one started here in just a minute. We're going to give a minute or two for folks to get in while I'm getting everything set up. This is the hardcore submod American Civil War for Napoleon Total War. It's similar to the American Civil War 2, which is I think on like 2.6 or 2.7 or something now, but it's a standalone version that adds a lot of new features, including some new revamping of things like fatigue and a lot of other things. But with that said, what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be doing a 3v3 match on the Gettysburg Round Tops map, and I am going to play alongside two computer allies against 3 computer opponents. And I'm going to be taking on the command of Barnes and Ayres divisions, the 1st and 2nd divisions of the 5th Corps. So basically my responsibility is going to be kind of the area from the wheat field south down to Little Round Top. And that's going to give me some time to kind of get in place while the other computer players get destroyed by Longstreet's assault that's coming in. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look. So the way I have to do this, Mr. Beep, what's up? The way I have to do this in order to get the right command that I want is I got to assign the 2 CPUs first, then switch myself over. So I'm the 3rd player, which means I will get Ayres and Barnes division. If I take CPU 1, I end up commanding elements of the 3rd Corps, and I'm up in the peach orchard, and I'll get slaughtered right away. So we're going to take on 3 CPU attacking units. So basically, this battle that we're going to fight is the assault on the Union left, the Confederate right. It was Longstreet's assault on July 2nd, and that's what we're going to be taking on here. I'm doing large units, so they're not full size, but Ultra would be full size, but they're pretty close to full size. And I have the graphics set pretty high on here. So here you have it. Sickles, Hancock, so 2nd Corps units, and then I have Barnes and Ayres division, so I'm commanding 5th Corps units. I'll be facing off mostly against John Bell Hood's division. Yeah, Mr. Beep, actually, I was playing the Great War mod for this yesterday. I actually had to delete the Great War mod in order to be able to install this one. So I was thinking about doing some Great War, but I decided against it for now since I'm doing other World War I stuff on the channel. I don't have anything currently going for the Civil War, so I thought this would be a good one to do. Dylan, the AI is awful on Total War, period. There's unfortunately no way to get around that, no matter what Total War game you play. That really is the major downfall to Total War, is they've never seemed to be able to get the AI to not be ridiculously stupid. That's why this game is best played against other human opponents. So here you have it. And let me pause for just a second because I want to talk about what's happening here. So I have, like I said, Ayres and Barnes division. It's the 1st and 2nd division of the 5th Corps. And so Barnes's division, for example, includes the men who defended Little Round Top. That would be the 20th Maine, 140th New York, units like that. You'll see them. Ayres division, and I tell you, this map looks beautiful. I was just back at Gettysburg a couple of months ago, and this was the area of the battlefield I spent most of my time on because I did a video kind of chronicling Longstreet's assault, and it looks so good. This really does look like it. Like, I know where I'm at looking at this. I know I'm up on Little Round Top. There's Devil's Den right there. This is the wheat field right here. And Ayres, this is actually, I think, Ayres Avenue. Is the modern battlefield road that runs through here. So this is kind of where Ayres' division was down here in this valley that kind of came between Little Round Top. That's Big Round Top in the back there. And then the wheat field here. And the wheat field was some of the bloodiest fighting of the battle. And then you come up from the wheat field and you get up into the peach orchard right here. And then you're at the Emmitsburg Road, etc. So over here, actually here would be the peach orchard right here. So around here somewhere should be the 57th Pennsylvania, because I had an uncle who was in the 57th Pennsylvania, and they were right in the middle of the peach orchard when all this happened. I just want to find that unit right now, even though I don't control them. And I'll catch up on chat in just a second. Don't worry, guys. There's the 57th PA. So his name was Wilson Poorman, and he was in the 57th PA. And the 57th PA was just decimated in the Peach Orchard that day. They lost over half their men. Of course, that was the case for a lot of these units because they just got smashed by Longstreet's attack. But what was just kind of something that I really had to take in when I was there was that the 4th Pennsylvania Cavalry was stationed back on Cemetery Ridge, and my 4th great-grandfather was in that unit. And it was his son, Albert Servey, along with his brother-in-law, Wilson Poorman, who were in the 57th Pennsylvania. So he would have probably been able to see the 57th Pennsylvania fighting. And knowing that his son and his brother-in-law were in that unit just must have been something. So, yeah, Zachary, doesn't it look beautiful? We're going to get into it in just a second here. I'm going to have a little bit of time before I actually get into the action because the attack's going to commence and hit the 3rd Corps first. And then I'm going to basically have to come back here and defend Little Round Top against whoever makes it through those other units. So let me catch up with chat real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hey, yeah, Zachary, that's why I posted on Discord as well, because a lot of people have been saying that they haven't been getting the notifications from YouTube, and I'm not sure why that is. Rhaegar, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in Estonia. Awesome, glad to have you. I did this earlier in the day, hoping we'd be able to get some folks from Europe, so I'm glad you're a part of this. I haven't played Three Kingdoms yet, Mr. Beep. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, Dylan, the park rangers are fantastic with what they do. I actually had, at one time in my life, I wanted to go to Gettysburg College because I majored in history in college, and I wanted to go to Gettysburg College for that. And I wanted to be a park ranger. I think I could pull it off pretty well. I know the battlefield. I've been there probably 16, 18 times now. I'll post later in the description of this video. I don't have it right now, but when I was there a couple of months ago, I had a couple of hours on the battlefield, so I retraced the attack that we're going to be playing here today and kind of recorded some video on the battlefield of those events, and I even marched up the face of Little Round Top, so you guys can check that out later on. First things first, we're going to get our guns kind of where we're going to want them. I'm going to want them up on top of Little Round Top best I can. The actual men who fought on Little Round Top were stationed at what would have been called I think it's called the military crest, which is about a third to a halfway down from the top. Because if you're at the very top, you can't see who's coming up the hill. So they actually stationed down a little further down, but the guns would have probably been on top. So we're going to get as much of our artillery up there as we can. Yeah, the park rangers are fantastic at these battlefields. They really know their stuff, and I've always wanted to do one. I've never actually done one of the walks. I just felt like I kind of knew my way around the battlefield pretty well already, but they really do have some great information, and they can really kind of take you into what's happening. So I want to be as historical as possible and get some. I want to get what's his name's Strong Vincent's brigade up on Little Round Top. So let's go ahead and find them. These aren't divided by brigades. But there's the 20th Maine right there, 83rd PA, 44th New York, and the 16th Michigan. So this would be Strong Vincent's brigade right here. So we're going to get them as close as we can to where they were historically, which is over here on the left side of Little Round Top. 20th Maine was kind of bent around to this side. I don't know where they're going to attack exactly, but I'm going to plan accordingly. So we'll kind of spread out in that area for now, and then we'll take it from there. It's going to take a little while for me to get everybody set up the way I want them, but we've got some time before the attack hits anyway. And then I think this is probably Weed's brigade here, which was to their right. I think Weed and, well, I know Strong Vincent was mortally wounded that day. He's buried up in Erie, PA. I actually visited his grave a while back, did a video about that too. But I think Weed was killed as well. So we'll put them right there. Oh yeah, it would be a cool retirement job. And cool thing too, I'm really into tracing family history, and my wife's family, my wife is descended from the Culp family. Originally they were German, their name was Kolb, when they came from Pennsylvania to Ohio, so her part of the family stayed Kolb. But she's pretty closely related to Christopher Culp, who is kind of the progenitor of that family. We'll have to kind of reorganize some of this when we get a little closer to things happening. I'm going to go ahead and start things off so I can get everybody moving. Oh, I missed did I miss the 16th Michigan? No, there they go. They were just taking a minute to get going. All right, and then we've got another division here, another brigade here, and we're going to get them down here. I have a feeling, I think probably historically they were this way, but I have a feeling when they break through, they're going to break through a little. We may have to adjust depending on how they break through the 3rd Corps when it comes time for that. All right, we've got more batteries over here. Let's get these 2 batteries down here. Actually, I'm thinking maybe I'll put them back here somewhere. Am I planning to do it the same as I can? Yeah, I'm largely going to defend the same area. Obviously, it'll depend on what happens with the 3rd Corps. They may not break historically. The units may not come through historically. I've played this scenario once before on the regular, not the hardcore submod, but on the regular one, and he tends to come more straightforward through this open territory, whereas Law's brigade of Hood's division came more around over this way, closer to Big Round Top, and attacked, like the 20th Maine got hit from right over here. So I'm not expecting him to do that. So it may be that I'm shifted too far to the left compared to what happened historically. Who's this here? That's General Ayres. So we'll get him over somewhere over here for now. It's going to be, I would say, probably 20 minutes of game time before they even hit us. Let me make sure I've got everybody. So I'll have a little bit of time to kind of pay attention to the chat and stuff. Thank you, Nelson. That's right. Everybody make sure you hit like, if you would, please. I'd appreciate that greatly. And subscribe if you haven't already. Desert Fox Troop says, if I had a chance to go and change whatever war I wanted, which one would you change? Man, I would stop World War I from happening. Because if World War I doesn't happen, World War II doesn't happen. And World War I did not have to happen. That's one of those wars where by the time the war started, almost nobody who was involved in the war wanted it to take place. I mean, the military people did, but that was such an avoidable war. And World War II happened as a direct result of the consequences of World War I, so I would definitely stop World War I if I could. So like I said, it's going to take a while for things to happen here. I don't know why. General Barnes is all the way up there. I think I told him to do that. Let's bring him back up. Oh, you're looking at the first. You're looking for the 1st Minnesota. I would guess if they're here, they would be up here because these are the 2nd Corps units right here. So I don't know if it'll have that much of the 2nd Corps, or if this is just the units like the Irish Brigade and such that went over into the peach orchard and the wheat field. I would guess we're not going to see the 1st Minnesota in this one. I think this is the Irish Brigade right here. 148th PA. My wife and I are related to half the people in that unit. It was from Center County, Pennsylvania. In fact, my first cousin, like 5 times removed, his name was Weaver, Colonel Weaver, James Weaver, ended up being the commanding officer of the 148th at the end of the war. There's 27th Connecticut. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the 1st Minnesota in here. We're not far enough north for that. And for now, it looks like the 2nd Corps is chilling back here. I don't know why. So we've got 3 different AI commanders. You've got the 3rd Corps commander, you've got the 2nd Corps commander, and then you've got, well, 2 different AI commanders than me. So the plan had been that Longstreet's attack was supposed to happen earlier in the day. And it was supposed to happen right around the time that an attack was also happening over on the Confederate left around Culp's Hill. It was badly coordinated. It took until late in the day for this to all happen, and yet they still very nearly pulled it off. This is probably going to be Barksdale's brigade over here. No, it's Perry. He's got a lot of Florida units. Barksdale's probably a little further over this way. There's Wooford, Kershaw. I think that's McLaws's division, yeah. There's Barksdale. Barksdale was killed. Of course, a number of Union commanders were killed as well. I think Willard was decapitated by his shell on the Union side. Looks like, I don't know what's happening here. Dang. So this is one of the stupid things the AI does. He rides his batteries right into the enemy, and that's definitely what he did there. Looks like they're pulling their batteries back. Hey, Rygar, thank you so much. Pickett's Charge, yeah, we'll do that one sometime. There's a lot of possibilities with this mod, and this is just the Gettysburg alone's got 5 or 6 different ones you can do. This is Gettysburg. Zachary, why sad? Oh, sad face because you wanted to see the first Minnesota. I believe there is one of the mods, or one of the scenarios on here probably would have the first Minnesota. Is there a German brigade? Mr. Beep, most of the German units were in the 11th Corps, I believe, so that would have been on the other side of the battlefield. Most of them fought on the first day. Oh yeah, Niall, my daughter did a live stream right before we did. Of course, her live streams are a little different than mine. She had about, I don't know, 2,700 people watching hers. Her chat moves so fast you can't even read it all. So we're just now starting to get our batteries up into position. You can see a lot of the infantry is getting into position now. So let's go ahead and get these guns unlimbered. They'll be able to start firing sooner rather than later. This artillery, we need to find a more open spot for them. So I have a lot of respect for the Confederate attack through this area. It was just a brutal area of ground, and they covered a long piece of ground. They were attacking all the way through here. So by the time Hood's division got up into this area, they're climbing up over Devil's Den. They're fighting in this area here. This area down here, you can't see it from this, but the area where the stream runs, which there's a stream that runs right down through here. I guess that's probably what this is.
Their general has fallen.
Oh, a general died. Just strewn with rocks all through here. Let's see who died. McLaws was killed. Oh my goodness. Historically, the only division commander on the Confederate side who was a casualty that day was John Bell Hood. He was injured severely, lost the use of an arm. He was only 29, 30 years old when this battle happened. Your wife won't let you live stream War Thunder, Desert Fox? Yes, Dylan. I'll post a link later if I can to the Discord. I joined it last night, or I think I had already joined it before, but maybe I hadn't. I know I joined it last night for sure. Willard. So on the Union side, brigade commanders. Willard was one. Zook was another one that was lost that day. I think Zook. And then Cross was another one. I think Cross was the one who was riding into battle, and he was a colonel, and Hancock said something to him about how this was the last time he would ride into battle without a star, and he said, "Too late, this is my last battle."
Militia.
So we got these rocks here in the way here. Let's see. All right, let's get these guys unlimbered. These ones unlimbered? Yeah, they're ready to go. These ones are not. So let's get them unlimbered. So I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I don't know where the attack's going to come from. Historically, Ayers was down in this area. It looks like we've got some help over here. Who is that? That's the 2nd Division of the 3rd Corps. A few units, anyway. So I might be out a little further out front than I'd like to be. These guys are walking around these rocks to get in their place. I might want to pull them back a little bit, but once we get into position, we'll have a better idea. All right, let's get these guys unlimbered. You can see they're starting to get a little further this way. Yes, Dan Sickles had his leg blown off. Dan Sickles has the unique distinction of being the guy who was both court-martialed for his actions at Gettysburg and given the Medal of Honor for his actions at Gettysburg. Sickles, if you're not familiar with the battle, the reason that this whole thing is happening is because of Sickles. And there's debate about whether Sickles screwed up or whether his screw-up actually saved the Union cause this day, because he was supposed to be way back here. The Second Corps was holding the Union Center on Cemetery Ridge, and to their left was supposed to be the Third Corps, and that's initially where they were. They were kind of anchoring. The Third Corps was anchoring the line down to Little Round Top. Well, Sickles, who had gotten into a situation where at a previous battle, I can't remember which one it was, I want to say it was in the 7 Days battles, had a situation where the enemy had gotten higher ground in front of him and got artillery up there. It might have been Malvern Hill or one of those, and used that to their advantage. And so he didn't want that to happen again. So when he saw higher ground in front of him, he brought his whole corps down to this area and put them out, with their apex of the line being kind of in the peach orchard. And they just got crushed when Longstreet's attack came in through there. All right, so let's go back to our troops now. We're just about into position. Yeah, I think I might want to back these guys up a hair. Yeah, our men are running all right. Yeah, his leg, Nelson, is in the Army Medical Museum, I think. There's a real quick scene in the movie Lincoln where the camera shot starts on his still flesh-covered hairy leg on display. And Sickles would visit it every year on the anniversary, I think, of his wounding. Yeah, Sickles did also murder someone, Colin. He murdered Francis Scott Key's son, the guy who wrote the American National Anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Philip Barton Key was the Washington, D.C. District Attorney. Sickles was a U.S. Congressman from New York at the time, and Key was having an affair with Sickles' wife. Now, never mind the fact that, somebody's firing artillery on me. Never mind the fact Sickles, I think, was also having affairs. But Key would, stand right outside of the Sickles house and try to... Oh boy, we got artillery coming in hot now. And try to signal Sickles' wife. And Sickles saw this, grabbed his pistol, and right out a block from the White House, I think it was in Lafayette Square, he shoots Philip Barton Key. He got off on the charge using the very first ever successful temporary insanity defense. He pled temporary insanity. Not only was found not guilty, but ends up going on to be a corps commander in the Civil War. I'm going to pull these guys back a hair. Yeah, Zachary, I hear you. Sickles is a guy that, you know what, and honestly, that's kind of how it was. That's why he both was court-martialed and got the Medal of Honor for Gettysburg. Because the things he did, not only at Gettysburg, but throughout the war, some people loved and admired, other people couldn't stand. I think he probably deserved the court-martial because he did disobey a direct order. But it's also arguable that his disobeying of that direct order actually contributed to the Union being able to win the day on July 2nd. All right, so I'm kind of watching to see what... I'm assuming this is Hood's division coming this way. Law's Brigade specifically. Kind of watching to see how far over this way they're going to come. Yeah, it's Law's Brigade. There's the 48th Alabama. 47th Alabama. It was the 4th Alabama was the one who I think was actually attacking against the 20th Maine over on the left side. Yep, smoking his stogie while being taken from the field. So now it looks like my artillery is starting to fire as well. I might have wanted to maybe hold a couple units in reserve just to plug any holes, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens here. I should have put the 20th Maine on the end. 20th Maine is actually in the opposite side of their brigade as they were historically. So, Hazlitt was a battery commander up here who was killed, and Stephen Weed, who commanded the brigade that was on this side of Little Round Top, he and Hazlitt were good friends, and when Hazlitt was mortally wounded, Weed came over to him and leaned over as Hazlitt was whispering something into his ear, and Weed was mortally wounded right on top of him. What's cool, the 15th Alabama, okay, my bad. What's cool too, if you watch some of there's very early like video footage of, who's this breaking back through here, the 4th Maine from the 3rd Corps. Early video footage of the 50th anniversary at Gettysburg with all the troops, all the folks arriving, and Dan Sickles was there. You can see this video footage of this really old guy smoking a stogie, sitting there with one leg missing. He was there right up to the end of his life. He attended those reunions. So I'm going to pull these guys back right here just to kind of cover my flank a little bit. When will I do another War Thunder live stream? Soon. I'm waiting. I think for those who didn't see my post about this in Discord, and I apologize in advance. There's somebody, if you've seen the live streams, there was a guy called, his username was Love is the Answer, and he was really, really good, especially at air combat. He used to be he used to be like a professional gamer or something playing War Thunder, and he reached out to me after the last live stream and suggested that I reach out to the War Thunder people and tell them I was a streamer, because they would probably give me unlock a bunch of the higher tier equipment for me so I could use it in my streams, and they're working on doing that for me now. So as soon as I get all of that, I'll probably do another War Thunder live stream. I had to do some verification processes and send them an email from my email that I use and things like that. So they're kind of in the process of doing all of that. All right, they're heading this way. You can see the 3rd Corps has pretty well broken at this point, and you can see the Confederates are all the way. It looks like they're starting to break through. I don't know what the 2nd Corps is doing. They're still just chilling back there. I'm looking in the wrong direction. That doesn't help. The 2nd Corps is over here, and I don't know what they're waiting on, but it would be very helpful if they would do something with these units besides sit there. Because eventually what's going to happen is all of these, I'm going to have an entire corps coming at me once they break through everything in the 3rd Corps. It looks like Hood's starting to move that direction. He's got one regiment right here. Maybe it's just waiting because he's still trying to fight these guys. We've got the 86th New York in here doing a little melee combat. Yeah, Colonel Oates was the commander of the unit that faced off against the 20th Maine. Yeah, you know, that's something to think about. Oates, not only Oates, but also the 20th Maine. Now, I think the 20th Maine, I think the 5th Corps arrived the night before, but they had done a ton of marching on July 1st. But yeah, you know, those guys not only had marched all that distance, but then they attacked over a good mile before they even got to the 20th Maine. And then they attacked repeatedly up that hill. It's a marvel. And it was hot. It was a really hot July day. They're wearing wool uniforms. It's incredible what they did. Michael, what is up? So far nobody's coming this direction, so we may have to advance. and try to hit their flank. But I still expect at some point they're going to come my direction once they deal with all of this. And you can see a lot of the 3rd Corps units are breaking toward me as well. These guys they lost. They didn't even lose that many, but they broke. Oh, that's frustrating. Come on, stand and fight, boys. Come on. These guys are fighting. The 8th New Jersey. Yeah, Colin, you're about right. In Sickles' case, he helped raise a couple of regiments, the Excelsior Brigade. He helped raise that brigade, and so he got to be the brigade commander. Or you get elected as an officer amongst your company. Yeah, different system than it is today, that's for sure. Well, these New Jersey boys are holding their own. They haven't lost a man yet. They're facing off against the 7th South Carolina, which is significantly bigger than them. Where did Gettysburg get its name? I believe it was named after a guy named Geddes, actually. Although they say Geddes there. They say Gettysburg. No, it was definitely not Estelle Getty, but hey, Patchwork Pictures, how's it going? While we're watching an 8th New Jersey here, I'm going to look up exactly who the town of Gettysburg is named for you. Oh, they're moving. Man, these New Jersey boys aren't messing around. They're hanging around. Samuel Geddes, the ancestor of the Getty family, settled there in 1761. So there you have it. These New Jersey boys are just gonna like stand right here and fire into the flanks of the Phillips Legion from Wofford's brigade. All right, what's going on here? They're still not quite coming at my units. We got more 3rd Corps units breaking toward me here. My artillery are about the only ones that are getting involved so far.
Battery reporting.
Let's go ahead and watch our battery in action. Yep, Viceroy's got it. Samuel Geddes. Like I said, they say, you know, I pronounce it Gettysburg, but I think most people there pronounce it Gettysburg. I love the detail on the uniforms, right down to the red trim for artillerymen. Like I said, though, I mean, if you're ever at the battlefield, this is what it looks like. I mean, they've done a great job of capturing that. All right, we're starting to see Confederate units headed this direction. And we've got some Union units breaking. They're going to break right through my lines. There's not a lot headed this way, though. So I'm thinking I may pull the 16th Michigan back as a reserve back here. Just because I don't think I'm going to need anybody on this side. I think the action's going to be happening over here on my right. I may go ahead and pull 44th New York over too. Yeah, remember, the town of Gettysburg is a town of like 2,400 people in 1863. And 150,000 troops show up to fight a battle. I mean, it just had to have been overwhelming. And there were 51,000 casualties afterwards. There were 20 times more casualties than there were people in the town. And this was not, contrary to popular belief, this was not the largest battle of the Civil War. It was the bloodiest battle of the Civil War, but Fredericksburg was the largest battle in terms of the number of men who were engaged. These guys are marching right in no, don't do that. My artillery in the right spot here? Because they don't seem to be firing. You know what I'll do here? Instead of doing this, I'm going to put them down here and let them kind of fire into these guys as they come up the hill. It is, Viceroy, it absolutely is a beautiful mod. I hate having to, like, control my units. I'd rather just, like, you know, zoom in and watch. Let's watch these Zouaves here. I guess. Alright, Confederates are coming in range now. I'm going to move these guys down a little bit. Oh, somebody's breaking something upstairs in my house.
Yes, sir.
I'm right below the dining room, and it sounds like one of my kids just dropped a dish of some kind. Well, that's a nice Civil War you got there. Thank you, Vic. I've played a little bit of Empire and Napoleon. Not a lot. But I do have some videos. Alright, here they come. See how the 4th Michigan's holding up. So far, so good. You guys need to get out of my way, 40th New York. Wow, there's a lot of Confederates pouring in from this side. I might get overwhelmed over there. Once we can crush some of these units here, maybe... And you know what would be really nice is if the 2nd Corps decided to do something besides sit over here in a corner. Yeah, you guys. Are you just going to sit there? That's really frustrating. Here they come, man. Oh, boy. Wow. This is a lot of Confederates coming this way. Alright, we're dealing with these guys pretty effectively. So what I'm going to probably do is once I drive them back, which seems like it's happening, we're going to start bringing our flank around, I think. Because I don't think I'm going to hold over here. Haven't lost a man yet, but they're going to slam into me. Yep, here they come. It's going to be melee madness. Robertson's brigade. Which I believe Robertson's brigade was the one who actually had the job of marching up and attacking the face of Little Round Top. Alright, I'm going to send the 16th Michigan down to go deal with this battery so they're not firing into my flank as I advance forward down here. And I'm going to start swinging this around like a door. Have I been to a reenactment? Yes, a few. In fact, I was at the 150th anniversary of Gettysburg back in, I'm sorry, the 125th back in 1988. I was 10 years old. I've still got a medal from that somewhere that I got. Alright, these guys are hanging on, man. I tell you what, 62nd PA, look at them go. They've only lost 15 men. 4th Michigan's only lost 4. Yeah, Zachary, for this particular mod, I have these set to large. You can actually go all the way up to ultra, and I wasn't sure how the mod would handle that, or how my computer would handle it, so at least for the time being I didn't do that, but I think I could probably handle ultra. It seems to be doing okay. I thought I sent the 16th Michigan to go deal with this battery. Looks like these Confederates are actually rallying, so we're gonna have to... Alright, we pretty well threw off the attack with little trouble on this side. Oh, there's a rocks right there. That's making it difficult. So I'm going to bring the 20th Maine over here. I'm going to give them marching orders to go back this way, so hopefully they'll march behind them instead of in front. I don't think this battery is in position to actually fire. I must have just put them in the wrong part of the hill, so I'm going to have to move them forward. This one never unlimbered. I told them to. Oh, that stinks. Look at this, man. This is crazy. Colin, you're right. It ain't Hancock. I think it's McClellan commanding those guys. Do I think Meade's Big Pipe Creek line was stronger than the position at Gettysburg? You know, honestly, I've never been to that place. I've read about it. And I've found that I can't make good judgments on ground until I've actually been there. So I honestly don't know. All right. So my right is collapsing. Not a big surprise considering how much he threw at me there. We got to pull these guys back. If the 2nd Corps would bother at all, and the 20th Maine's still marching right through the middle of my line. The 2nd Corps would bother at all with helping out. This would be a piece of cake because they could just crush the Confederate left right now if they wanted to. 16th Maine's doing pretty good. Man, they're just destroying the 47th Alabama. In fact, let's go ahead and charge into them. I think I probably need to just pull this whole line back. Well, the good news is that, remember, these guys had already been in combat before they hit me. So a lot of them have taken some casualties already. I'm going to pull this whole line back over here. We'll let these guns hang on as long as they can. You can see units getting experience now. The Blue Shield of Freedom. Desert Fox, that's very cool. Oh yeah, Irate Spartan, Gettysburg is beautiful ground. And it is not an understatement to say that, you know, to see why the those Union generals were saying beautiful ground, absolutely gorgeous ground. It's why John Buford held so firmly on July 1st, because he knew what kind of ground they had. All right, I think we're going to be okay here in the center. I'm just mostly concerned about the right now. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, is anchor the wood line, or anchor the right in the wood line if I can. Let's go ahead and bring the 20th Maine over here. I'm going to bring them over here and connect with these guys. The 62nd PA. See if we can pull these guys back. 2nd Corps still doing nothing. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring these guys around. Who's this? 140th New York. Let's go hit this battery. Things are pretty calm on this side. Look at all the experience happening for my units. Alright, we're going to counterattack now. We're going to push down the hill so that I can bring some of these guys over this way. Pastor Pinsey, how's it going? Too bad you can't have units curve. Yeah, I know. Alright, 20th Maine's starting to get there. This battery's going to be in trouble in a second, but they're going to put some canister into these guys while they still can. Alright, what's happening here? Allies capture building, building lost. Must be talking about this barn down here. Alright, 20th Maine's getting into position over here. That battery's falling back now. How are we doing here, boys? 140th? And we're going to have a little bit of overlap right there. Yeah, let's see how close the Confederates are to the 2nd Corps. So right here you got Wilcox's brigade getting close to the 2nd Corps. It's alright, we're going to do this without them. We don't need those boys. Hancock, you guys just sit on your hands. We've got this. Oh, Viceroy, absolutely. When I walked this ground a couple months ago when I was making the video, I was so impressed by what the Confederates did, considering what they had to overcome. That's why John Bell Hood didn't want to attack there. He knew how horrible the ground was they had to cross. Alright, we're dealing with this battery. Actually, we're kind of standing in the middle of the battery. Let's keep pushing this line forward. If you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you'd just go ahead and hit that like button. Makes a big difference. That's how YouTube figures out how to recommend videos to more folks. It's really a couple of things. It's the like button, and it's how long you watch for. So if you watch a video and you only watch the first 5 minutes and then you drop out, YouTube thinks it wasn't very good and it doesn't recommend it as often. And then of course those likes to dislikes ratio. Who's that down there? 32nd Massachusetts. That's one of mine. Come on, boys, fight on. Zachary, I would say a good mix of the two. I would prefer a veteran small unit to a big new unit if I had to have one or the other, but I think a mix of the two is probably best. I think we got this. Even without those bums from the 2nd Corps.
Your men have been routed, sir.
Yeah, well, I expected that these guys would probably be routed. Oh, that just looks beautiful. There's a part of my video where I stood right down here. There's an intersection now. There's a road that runs right through here this way, and it's a spot where you can see both Little Round Top and the wheat field, and it's one of my favorite spots on the battlefield because it's one of the places where you really can get a sense of how things were happening with the battle. I highly recommend that you visit these battlefields because my understanding of battles always changes once I've visited the battlefield. That was true at Gettysburg, it's true at Shiloh, it was true at Antietam when I visited for the first time. Who fell this time? That's got to be Hood. Lieutenant General James Longstreet was killed. Wow. Rode a little too far forward there, Pete. Who's going to take command now? Would it be Hood? Pickett, perhaps? Yeah, 1 second, Nelson. I'll put a link to the Gettysburg video in my Discord. I'll run over and try to find it right now so don't forget. I've got a number of videos from my time at Gettysburg. But none of them were kind of as comprehensive as that most recent one that I did. That was 4 months ago. I'm going to throw a link in the description right now for this video too while I'm thinking about it. If I can find how to do that. Darn it.
Their general has fallen.
Another general fell. That's got to be Hood this time. My goodness. No, Richard Anderson. It's everybody but Hood. Hood's the one guy that was actually wounded in this battle, historically, and he's the guy who seems to be surviving. Alright, there. I put the link in the description to my video from this attack, the actual battlefield that we're fighting over right now. Alright, the Confederates are retreating in disarray. Let's kind of take a look at how things ended up. We lost 35 men in the 44th New York. Didn't lose a man in the 83rd PA. Lost one man in the 155th. Seems like I should have lost more than that, but maybe it's because I had the high ground and those guys had already been fighting for a while before they got here. Now, obviously, Ayres' division took a little more damage. Looks like we've got a few units that are still intact over there for the Confederates. And obviously the 2nd Corps has no interest whatsoever in fighting. Although it looks like maybe a couple of them got involved. No, that's the 3rd Corps units that reformed. Lord save the Rebs if Hood takes over. Remember the Battle of Franklin. Yep. Change of a nickel. Absolutely. I definitely think the situation would have been different if Stonewall Jackson had been there, because I think if Stonewall Jackson is there... Now, obviously, we have to assume that everything else remained the same. Assuming everything else was the same going into the first day of Battle of Gettysburg, if Jackson's in command of Ewell's Corps, I think they win the battle, because Jackson would have taken Culp's Hill. He probably would have pushed on to Cemetery Hill. He would not have allowed those to go without a fight on July 1st. I got a few guys getting shot from behind. Where's that happening? Is that over here? These guys are just kind of hanging out with this Confederate battery here.
Yes, sir.
HMS Hood, no. HMS Hood named after, I believe, the guy that's named after, the British admiral, I think he ended up an admiral, was at the Battle of the Chesapeake, which was the one where the French won naval supremacy to allow for Cornwallis to be trapped at Yorktown. I believe he was there. Alright, we're going to counterattack best we can, but I think we've got these guys. How would Longstreet's death have affected the remainder of the war? I'm not sure how much it would have, because, well, I don't know, because Longstreet goes to Chickamauga after this. He takes his corps down to Chickamauga, fights at that battle. I think Longstreet was severely wounded in '64 at either the Wilderness or Spotsylvania. I can't remember which. Of course, A.P. Hill was killed in the last week of the war. at Five Forks. He was shot by a sharpshooter. The mod link in the video. Yeah, I can do that. Give me 1 second. I'll do that now. And there, like somebody else said earlier, there's a great Discord for this mod. Very active. So I'm going in now to just give me a second. Bear with me while I go in and throw the link in the chat or in the description. Okay, let me just save it, and then the mod will be in the description for you. There you go. All right, second course, still doing nothing, and that's okay. 20th Maine's all the way over here now with some of these boys. Confederates are done. I think that's pretty well going to be it for this mod. We'll take a little bit of time to go and explore some of the other battlefields that are on this thing. I don't know that I'll fight another whole battle, but let's get to, hey, Ewan, what's going on? Where are you watching from in Scotland? Scotland is I want to visit the UK so bad. And, you know, I've toyed with the idea, because unfortunately, like a lot of other folks, the COVID whole thing has hit us financially really hard. And our dream trip, we haven't taken a family vacation in 4 years. And our dream trip, we're trying to save up to go to the UK. And I want to shoot a ton of history on location videos while I'm there. And we definitely want to go to Scotland, because my third great grandfather owned a pub in Glasgow. And it's still there. It's still open today. And very much want to see that. So we've toyed with the idea of maybe doing like a GoFundMe or something to get folks who might be interested. Because I feel uncomfortable about that. I don't think you guys should be funding my family vacation, honestly. But I get a lot of viewers who request to be able to do just like that. Like they ask me to make a Amazon wish list and things like that. So I've toyed with the idea of doing that only because people have suggested that I do that. But at some point, my family, we are going to save up the money and take a trip to the UK. So the mod. Yeah, it's been, Zachary, it's been 55 minutes already. The mod. This mod, for whoever asked, is the American Civil War hardcore sub mod for the American Civil War mod, the North and South mod for Napoleon Total War. It's a standalone version of the mod that kind of takes that mod but adds a bunch of new features, and I don't have a list in front of me as far as what those are, but they do add a lot of new features to it. Man, what is this going on here? It looks like there's a fire or something. These guys are like, get us out of here. They're retreating all the way back to Seminary Ridge. So let's go ahead and escape, because it's done. It says valiant defeat, but we kind of would have easily won if I would have marched back across that ground. I only lost 421 men, and we inflicted 2,300 casualties. So that was pretty awesome. You can see those 2,000 men of Hancock's Corps did nothing. But I want to just go out so I can show you a couple of the other battlefields here. What's the name of the pub, Cur Brutus? It is the Old Toll. It is in downtown Glasgow. And it reopened a number of years ago. The existing pub goes back to like 1871. My great-great-great-grandfather, his name was Richard Whitaker, and he ran the Old Toll in a previous location on Parliamentary Road in Glasgow. The place where the original Old Toll was is not there anymore. I think that's where the soccer stadium is in Glasgow. But the new Old Toll opened in the 1870s after Richard had come to America. But the Old Toll was the pub that he ran. And I've seen some videos online of it. I think it would just be amazing. Yeah, patchwork pictures, I agree. If Jackson had taken those heights, it would have been a minor battle. I mean, granted, listen, the July 1st battle on its own was a big fight. It was a very costly battle, but yeah, it wouldn't rank up there. The casualty figures would have been more like Shiloh for the first day as compared to what Gettysburg ended up being. It would have been a big battle from the standpoint that it probably would have been a turning point in the war toward eventual defeat for the Union. I don't see how a defeat at Gettysburg allows for Lincoln's re-election in 1864. I think they probably have to sue for peace by then. Change of a nickel. I like the Brother versus Brothers mod because it has a campaign. And so in that way, it's good. But I like this one because of all the scenarios it allows for. And we'll probably have to do some multiplayer versions of this at some point. So any of you who are up for that, I think that would be a lot of fun to do. But you can see here, there's the Cemetery Ridge fight. And that would be Pickett's Charge. We've got Barlow's Knoll, which would be July 1st. Culp's Hill on July 2nd. McPherson Ridge, which is kind of the first action on July 1st. And then you see all the other battles that we've got available to us. We've got the Cornfield, Burnside Bridge, and Bloody Lane at at Antietam. Champion Hill, which is down near Vicksburg. Chickamauga, Day 1 and 2. We've got Cross Keys, which is the Shenandoah Valley campaign. Fort Wagner, which is, of course, the 54th Massachusetts, made famous in the movie Glory. Whiskey Country in the northeast of Scotland. Oh, the game just crashed on me. Oh, that happens occasionally. Let's get it back up here. I hate when that happens. Yeah, I hope to get to Scotland someday for sure. I would love so much to be there. I'm Cold War. I'm glad you joined it too. We might have time to maybe explore one more small battle, I think. So, Kerr Brutus, you've been to the old toll? I tell you, Kerr, I love Peaky Blinders. And actually, a lot of my family, that Richard Whittaker, who owned the old toll, he went to Glasgow from Birmingham. He went from Tipton, right outside of Birmingham. So I thought in a couple of scenes, I told my wife while I was watching, I'm like, that looks like the old toll. And there was another show we were watching too recently, a BBC crime show of some kind. That's part of it set in Scotland. It's got Jodie Whittaker in it. And she plays this nurse who leaves where she was living in England and goes to Scotland and pretends to be a doctor. And I feel like one of those scenes looked like it was shot in the old toll as well. All right, graphics looks like we've got the wrong resolution here. There we go. I knew that the old toll was used for those kinds of things. I just wasn't sure if Peaky Blinders was using it or not. Hanson, I saw yesterday you talking about going to that museum. How was it? That must have been something to visit the Battle of Jutland Museum. Scenario, let's take a look real quick. These are all 3v3 on the... oh, there we go. Now we can do 1v1 ones. So these are a little smaller. Still a little Fort Wagner. Oh, it crashed again. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So we may not be able to do this. I'll try one more time to get this to work. I got to look at the time here. Okay, we're good. It's only 3 o'clock. So we'll try one more time to get this to work, and if we can't get it to, then I guess we'll probably have to call it a day for this stream. Do they have the ironclads in this mod? I'm not 100% sure whether they do or not. So let's do this. Let's we'll fix the graphics, but I'm not gonna change. I'll change the settings to high. Crash City, yep. At least I got through all the battle before it crashed. Alright, here we go. Now we need multiplayer is how you do it. Local network, host battle, scenario. So we do have 1v1s down here. They're a little smaller. There's also Manassas, Malvern Hill, Kernstown, which is Winchester. I had an uncle who was killed at Kernstown with the 1st West Virginia. Fred Stillwagon, he was a teenager. All right, we're going to try Fort Wagner. And maybe it's just that Fort Wagner is, yeah, okay. I don't think it's going to work again, guys, so we'll get that all figured out, and I'll play again sometime. We'll do another live stream of this. What's today, Wednesday? How about we do another one tomorrow? So let me know in the comments of the video or over on Discord. I'll create one for this, what battle you want to see. But we'll do another live stream of this mod tomorrow. And let me know which battle you'd be interested in seeing, and we'll do that. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and end this one. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you hit that like button if you would. And Paisley Road West in Glasgow. Okay. Kerr Brutus, that is awesome. I would definitely love to hear more about that. But we'll do this again tomorrow. Same time, 2 o'clock Eastern time. We'll do another battle on this same mod if I can get it to crash. Maybe I just need to restart my computer and stuff. So thanks for watching, guys. We will see you again real soon.